stuck in their shirt and drawers. They were then saturated with tar. After that, they were covered very thickly with flax, resembling the chimpanzees. Flax was much more wonderful than feathers. They were then chained. First, the chain was passed about the waist of the king and tied. Then, about the waist of his first privy councillor, and also tied. And about the waist of the remaining two, until everyone was tied, and when they stood back as far away from each other as they could, formed a circle. The remainder of the chain was then passed across the circle in two diameters, crossing each other at 90-degree angles. Annabelle, are you?
I'm working on it.
I believe she's enjoying this.
There's not much activity when you're dead, so take advantage of it.
The hallway, the beautiful, beautiful ballroom, where the masquerade was to take place, was a circular room. It was lit only by a skylight in the center of the room. From the skylight hung a chandelier on a chain. It was advised by Hopfrog to remove the chandelier, for the candle drippings of the chandelier would ruin the wonderful dresses and masquerades that the masqueraders would wear. And the chain was removed up through the skylight by the counterbalance, out of the room. And flambeaux and sconces were placed all along the outside wall of the room for lighting. At Hopfrog's advice, the masqueraders waited until the tolling of midnight before appearing into the ballroom. At the last toll of midnight, Hopfrog and the masqueraders burst into the room. Come forward, burst forward, Hopfrog, with your part of the chain. Here. This way. Bursting into the ballroom. Come. Raced for the doors, but the doors were all locked by advice of Hopfrog, and a key was deposited with Hopfrog.
Oh, God.
As the screaming and the terror ensued, the masqueraders with Hopfrog found their way to the center of the room, where, if anyone had noticed, the chain from the chandelier descended very, very slowly, until the hooked extremity in which the chandelier hung came within 3 feet of the floor. As the masqueraders died down, their excitement turning into laughter when they realized it was only a masquerade, Hopfrog brought the 4 chained orangutans to the center and swiftly hooked the hook into the center of the circle. And by an unseen agent, the chain was drawn up just enough to bring the chained orangutans close to one another.
Leave them to me. I shall see who these masqueraders are.
And at that point, Hopfrog leapt to the side wall, kicked the flambeau, jumped upon the king's head, and scampered about 8 feet above the masqueraders on the chain.
I shall tell you who these masqueraders are.
And at that point, he let out a loud, shrill whistle. Hopfrog, you don't remember, do you? It was like a...
You heard it, didn't you?
At that point, by some unnamed agent, the chain flew 30 feet into the air, leaving the 4 chained orangutans helplessly dangling above all the rest of the masqueraders, who stood there in silence as they dangled. Hopfrog holding the torch down to the king. I now see
I now see who these masqueraders are.
And holding the torch even closer, as though trying to see who they are, the king burst into flames.
Yes!
And due to the combustibility of the flax and the tar which covered them, all the privy councillors soon were engulfed in a mass of flames dangling 30 feet above the masqueraders' heads.
Oh, God, no, please!
It is the king and his 3 privy councillors. The king who does throw the girl onto the floor and throw wine in her face. As for me, I am Hot Frog. And this is my last kiss.
And with that, Hot Frog threw the flambeau down to the mass of the charring bodies and scampered up the chain out of the skylight. The bodies hung, a fetid, black, indistinguishable mass. As all the masqueraders looked on, helplessly, there was nothing to do. It was supposed that I, placed and stationed on the ceiling, the roof, was the agent to Hot Frog's device. But neither Hot Frog nor myself were ever to be seen there again.
Oh, very good, Hot Frog!
Now do you remember the story? I knew you'd come back.
You said it, Hot Frog. You tell it again.
Oh, Prince, and your privy councillors most wonderfully played indeed. I'm sorry we could not recreate the event. They wish not to be burned tonight.
Tomorrow.
That's a very pleasant story.
Tomorrow.